Warning! This video contains mid-level to huge spoilers for the exclusive side stories and extra content only found in Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. If you wish to go through the game as blind as possible, then you may want to avoid this video as I will be talking a lot of those sections here in a bit. With that, please enjoy my review on DDLC Plus. Okay, Hakimos and folks alike, before this all begins, I am fully and so aware that a review on DDLC just came out recently. That's why when I was preparing to make this review, I was like, wait a minute, I just did one of the original not too long ago, and now I'm gonna talk about it again? But that won't stop me from telling you how amazing it was to dive back into the DLC with Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. I wish I could tell you every minute I spent in that game shrouded in that feeling of awe, especially when I replayed the original one in Plus. But I'm feeling quite lazy to edit a video that's 10 hours long. Yet in all seriousness, it was a pleasure to get back into the world of Doki Doki. I can't tell you how excited I was before launch, always refreshing the store pages and Dan Salvado's Twitter accounts just to see if there's anything new that they announced. Heck, even the smaller ones like the censorship and content warning posts had me all giddy to witness the release and expansion of such a memorable hit. Seriously, it was a week's worth of silently screaming and all excited for the game. And when it finally dropped, I had the lucky opportunity to play it on the Switch. Yeah, I know. Some of you may go like, but the definitive one should be on PC. How can you not play it not on PC? But I just wanted to witness how the impact of a game like this can have on other platforms, whether it will be significantly altered or maintained how it is. But even with that, I can proudly say that DDLC Plus falls into the latter category. Salvato, you freaking genius, you actually still kept the essence of everything even in consoles. Even all the files and stuff, it still feels like the original game all over again. However, it is true that some of the elements found in the PC version is lost when you play through it on consoles. Like the scene on whether you're forced to pick Monika against whatever you choose feels less thrilling and more programmed there. But when in PC, you can actually feel that your mouse is being tampered with, something that you may never get over with as well. But then again, accessibility matters, so everyone can play it equally. But with that being said, it's time for what do I think on the new content. First of all, I won't be re-reviewing the original game since I already did that. If you haven't checked it out though, it's out now. But in this video, I will be focusing more on the UI stuff for Plus, and of course, the side stories. Actually, let me rephrase that. The UI stuff I want to talk about is basically smaller than the things I want to say on the side stories. But we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so you might be wondering, how did this desktop thing work in the game? Alright, so you all know that DDLC essentially involves file tampering, something that requires a OS or a desktop to do so. But you all may know that, so that's basically it. Yet if you notice, the whole desktop gaming is a whole another thing as well. Something under the pseudonym or a name of Metaverse Enterprise Solutions, which seems like a company? And it seems like this corporation is directly responsible for the creation for the original DDLC under the label of a virtual machine. Now personally, I don't know how these things work, but what I understand is that these seem to be entities made by this company, trying to prove that whatever horrifying thing you find in the original game can actually be a real thing in our world. Huh, that means Monika's going to be a real thing in Earth soon? We don't know. Another thing is underneath just the DLC and the side stories. If you look at the files, there's a whole other layer of stuff and lore found there. I may not be able to interpret what it all means, but I may be able to predict that Salvato is actually working on a new project that's going to be released under the Metaverse company as well. It may not be a sequel to DDLC, but something in the same universe as Doki Doki. I can't say what it exactly is, but this is kind of what I predict. Wow, this is sounding less like a review and more of a theory, huh? Anyway, aside from that, there's a lot more to discover, but I won't be going through all that. It's just that one sequel thing I took a look in game, and it kinda picked my theory mind a bit. Okay, I'm going way off track now. But you should continue to discover it for yourselves, which I totally recommend you absolutely do so. And another thing, which is basically the reason Plus exists from the beginning, and one section of the game you should definitely not skip out on, is the side stories. This is such an amazing and wholesome addition to the story of Doki Doki. And I'll be damned if I hear that a person who bought Plus actually skipped out on this part of the game. Sure, it may seem like totally optional sections that you could not play, but again, I remind you, this whole thing is why Plus exists from the first place. The side stories are nothing short of wholesome, emotional, funny, witty, and just stunning. There is absolutely no horror elements found in these parts, but it's meant to be. These stories are meant to enhance the stories of the characters, and putting the scary stuff here will just make it lose its beauty. In fact, I really love that there is no horror elements whatsoever in these stories, and it plays out just like a traditional visual novel you play any other day. And I mean that in a good way. Don't take it wrong. I also thought if Dan Savato were to just make this whole section as a separate visual novel game rather than the Doki Doki edition, it would still work out perfectly. It's such a deserving break from the original game, and we get to understand more of the emotions and feelings that each of these club members experience, ranging by a whole lot. These parts also don't shy away from dealing with realistic stuff such as depression and being someone that you're not. Instead, they take all of that and make it into lessons that we all can learn from, and in a very cute way at that too. It doesn't sound like what Doki Doki is mainly known for, but to recognize this shift is such an awesome move on team. All of the 6 main side stories are divided into pairs, and added with another bonus chapter at the end when you complete them all. It's such a rewarding experience to accompany the original DDLC game, especially from the perspective of a new player. Like you're done witnessing all of the horrifying trauma that the members go through, and just to go back when things were just a tad simpler during the inception and the beginning of the literature club. It may not be totally life-changing or to a point where you have to thank the whole development team for your catapulting you into success, though that might be likely, but it's sufficient enough to learn a thing or two that can maybe fill your coming days with positive thoughts and things that can make you feel motivated and determined to go through. I actually love the side stories from start to end. I really wish it didn't end because I wanted more of this. Dan, if you're listening or watching, please continue to make these amazing experiences for us. It doesn't have to be Doki Doki, but keep doing whatever you do, and we just hope it could be as impactful as this. It's something that we all may need at a time like this, especially when things may seem bleak. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus is a perfect companion to just make your day a bit better, or if you're looking for some wholesome visual novel action along the way. Whichever way you go, you will feel rewarded in the end. Trust me. And with that, I end my review on DDLC Plus. I really didn't expect for it to be this deep and long, but it's just one of those additions to a visual novel that actually works. And know this, I normally don't play these types of games, but when I love it, then you should convince yourself to maybe give it a try. DDLC Plus is the definitive edition of the horror hit, and you all should go express support to Team Savato and Serenity Forge by buying this masterclass of a game. If you know what Doki Doki is, then still buy it, but even better if you don't know anything. It's rewarding, it's emotional, it hits you in all the right spots, and it served its way as one of my best games of the year. Thanks, Dan.